Before we get into that, Jaron, can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing prior to day trading?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in the mortgage business for 10 years, and I was also doing some real estate consulting with some real estate investing and things like that. But the mortgage business really just tied up what I was doing for all of those 10 years. I've got 5 kids between the age of 8 and 9 months old today.
Wow.
Yeah, when I started, we just had our 4th child, my son Braden. He was brand new, just a couple days old when I learned about this for the first time. So
tell us a little bit about what made you look for day trading, or were you even looking for day trading?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I wasn't looking for day trading. I actually had a friend that came over to my house, asked me to help him just make a better resume because he was applying for a job. It was an old college roommate, and in that conversation, he told me about a Ford 150 he was looking at. And so we went online where he showed it to me, and right above that ad, I actually saw this thing that said make $250 to $500 a day. Now, any other day, I probably would have just blown that off and said, nah, whatever. But I was actually about $2,500 short of the money I needed for when my son was going to be born.
Okay.
At the hospital.
It's good old hospital bills.
Yeah, self-employed health insurance and maternity in Utah, those don't get along at all. So that was in my mind, and so when I saw this make $250 to $500 a day, I just went, well, that would be nice if that was possible. And then I looked at it again later when my friend left, and then, I thought about it, but it was just in one ear and out the other kind of thing, like, well, okay. But then 3 days later, I saw a sign on the side of the road that said day trade my money. Okay. And it had the same phone number. And so as we were eating dinner with my family, it was just on my mind. And finally I just said, okay, I'll call. and so I did. I made the phone call, and then I talked to an individual named Brett about it and just asked the questions that I had, and then he invited me out to take a look.
Okay.
And so that's how it started.
All right, and so you came in under the Trader Pro funding program, correct?
Yes, I did. I had absolutely zero day trading experience. I mean, when those guys said things like contracts and pips and brokers, I understood broker from the real estate stuff, but I didn't understand any of the terms. A ton of it just went right over my head. So I had a long ways to go. That's how I felt. And my coach was able to just really simplify everything, and he used analogies that I could understand.
Okay.
So that I could really grasp what it was I was looking at. And the nice thing about this was I didn't have to have this huge knowledge about day trading and all those other big terms,
Right.
Options, binaries, and all those big kind of things. It was just, what did I need to know for what market I was trading in? And then to learn these indicators so that I knew what I was looking at to know when I should buy or when I should sell. And then to be able to practice it in these demo accounts, that was huge. I'll tell you guys right away, I blew 3 $5,000 demo accounts in my first 3 weeks. Okay, I was having so much fun with this, but I was just trying things. I was just hitting buttons when I thought it would work out. But my coach told me to do that. He said, just trade. Do a lot of trading, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And then on the bad trades, we were able to rewind the indicators, hit pause, and then he had me read them to him then, and I was able to find out what my mistakes were.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So with enough practice, enough repetition, that's when the parts that were really important were finally sticking, and I was having an awful lot more success.
So Jaron, you're a mortgage broker. I assume that's a lot of hours a day. How'd you fit in this semester, basically 12 weeks of training?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So yeah, I was working 10, 12-hour days, counting the windshield time from when I left to when I got home. But in all honesty, that was one of the biggest driving forces as to why I wanted to make time to do this. I was tired of my kids being asleep when I left. I was tired of them already being in bed when I got home.
Wow.
I was tired of microwave dinners all the time because the food was made, I just wasn't there while it was hot. And so I realized that the only way I was going to make a change was I had to find something somewhere, and I had to give up some time in some place. I knew I couldn't find a second job. That was just going to take me away from the house longer. So as I looked more into this opportunity, I realized I could really trade from home and find a way to make an extra $100, $200 a day.
All right.
Now, Jordan, I'll tell you this though. If Brett would have told me I could make $1,000 a day, I'm that skeptical guy that just goes, yeah, right, sales pitch, you know, and I'm grateful to this day that he said $100, $200 a day, because that was believable for me.
Okay.
And so that's what I needed to believe in first before I could see these bigger profits.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So how long has it been since you graduated from the Trader Pro funding?
It's been 2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
So when you first started and you started live trading, what did your profits look like then compared to now, 2.5 years later?
Yeah. So, you know, I was looking at trying to trade for, I mean, I didn't have a lot of time. I was looking at 15 to 60 minutes a day.
Okay.
And my coach helped me just stick to that. He said, Jaron, when 60 minutes were up, close the computer, you got to go back to work, because that's what was paying my bills.
Right.
So I was making 25 here, 35 there. You know, a week, 2 weeks later, I was making 110 here, 150 there. What was great is he put me on just that track of making 1 to 1.5% per day.
Okay.
You know, and he showed me how that would grow. He showed me these spreadsheets and said, this is what happens if you just focus on this 1.5%. Look where this is at the end of a year. And that put me in that focus. Today I did $1,200 this morning. It was great.
That's
and
awesome.
Now that my account's a much bigger account, I'm able to leverage that. I can trade when I want to instead of every day at these certain times. I mean, some days I don't trade. You know,
so are you still in the mortgage business, or where?
No.
So tell me a little bit about that transition from going from that full-time job
Okay.
to...
So 4 months into trading, I was matching my mortgage income, and I was doing well in mortgages, but I matched my mortgage income, and I wanted out. I was like, hey, this is completely different than I thought it was. I could replace my income right now. But my wife and I had that conversation, you know, at the time with the 4 kids, you know, we have 5 now, but at the time with the 4 kids, it was, well, let's make sure this isn't dumb luck. I mean, 4 months, I hope it wasn't dumb luck, but let's make sure this isn't dumb luck.
Right.
And so for the next 3 months, I traded at the same capacity I was doing, and I ended up $4,000 shy of tripling.
Wow.
That. And when that happened, I just said, this is it, honey, let's go. I can do this. And we can turn this into that opportunity. And we did. And it felt right. I wasn't too nervous about it, but whenever you change, you're always scared about something new.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, and I'll share with you, 3 months ago, I couldn't believe we did this, but 3 months ago, we were able to put a large amount of money down on a 6,000 square foot home, thanks to this opportunity and where it started me 2 years ago.
That's awesome.
So now to get to tell the kids when they're too noisy to just go down in the basement, it's really nice.
So now that you're a full-time day trader, what does that look like? Do you still day trade the same amount of time? Do you spend more time, less time?
No, great. You know, and that's what I wondered when I first got started. I actually trade less. Actually, I do. I thought I would trade so much more, but I trade less. I can look at these indicators, and if I see a great signal, I'm interested. But if I can see that the indicators are telling me, hey, something's starting to build up, or hey, right now there is no trade, because it does tell you that, I'll stay out and I'll come back to it in a little bit. You know, I love looking at 30-minute charts, 60-minute charts, other things like that. But if I've got 45 minutes left on a 60-minute chart and I just don't see much, I'll come back in 40, 45 minutes and take a look.
Nice.
But I try really hard now to do 15 to 60 minutes a day, and I love 6-minute trading days. Those are great.
That's awesome. So you've got the hindsight now, right? 2.5 years, you've been able to go full-time doing this. What would you say to somebody who's just getting started with their education or is looking at getting started? Like, what are some of the top things that hindsight now you wish you had known or that you could give as advice?
You know, one of the biggest pieces of advice I would love to give somebody new looking at this is don't try to push it. You know, take little pieces of big moves. Don't go for that big $200 to $700 trade that you're gonna be in for 10 hours. Go for that little trade where you're gonna make 20 bucks here, 30 bucks there, 50 bucks here, and you're in and out sometimes in 5 or 10 minutes because you're gonna celebrate those victories, you're gonna feel like you're learning the system really well, and it's gonna make you read the indicators over and over and over again as you're doing more trades. And as you do that, that's when you start looking at what you did that day and you realize, wait a second, did I just make 250 bucks today? You know, when you just did a couple of trades. And it just begins to grow from there. I mean,
Awesome.
I didn't realize a $5,000 account at 1% per day is about $60,000 at the end of a year. When my coach showed that to me, it
At
really
1%?
At 1% a day, that's $50.
Wow.
On a $5,000 account. I didn't realize that a year later that was $60,000. And that changed my perspective and helped me see that a person like me that has 5 kids and that is very busy, I can find 15, 20, 30 minutes either in the morning or late at night. I remember specifically when my son was teething, and I got up really quick. It was 1:30 in the morning. I was like, don't worry, honey, I got it. I let her stay in bed. I went and rocked him for 20 minutes, and then I was awake. And instead of going and watching TV to fall asleep, I went and grabbed my laptop, I put it on the kitchen counter. I made $200. Do you know how fast you fall asleep when you made $200 at 1:30 in the morning and you didn't have to call anybody to make that money? I mean, when that happened, I mean, look, there they are.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. I mean, these were just great experiences where I started realizing what really was in front of me. Where back when I got started, like anybody else listening to this, I just wanted to find out if I can make an extra $100, $200 a day. I mean, thank goodness it started that simple. Yeah.
So wrapping this up, is there any last tip or anything that you want to share? An insight or...
The first thought that comes to my mind is there's so many different types of people that fit this, from the stay-at-home mom to the very busy executive. For me, coming as a self-employed person, you always have these peaks and valleys in your business. And as a self-employed person, it's always important to try to keep that going steady. But with this, as I was making $100, $200 a day, I mean, $100 a day is $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's a mortgage payment for some people. And as a self-employed person, to have something else on the side that is actually kind of a stress release from all the other things with business.
Interesting,
You know?
yeah.
I was surprised that that's what happened, but I wasn't worried about an appraisal coming in anymore. I wasn't worried about the last 4 people I did an application for who didn't have good credit, because I'd made my money in the morning, and the mindset was so different. And with day trading, as you're looking at 1 or 1.5% growth, you've got this little steady growth, but at some point when you hit maybe 15, 20, 25,000, it's like the rocket ship suddenly turns and it just...
Straight up.
Yeah, my coach told me that was going to happen, but here I am 2 years later, and I got to see where that moment was when it turned, and it just took off. So what I would say kind of as a last thing is, if you have any reason to make an extra $100, $200 a day, don't miss looking at this opportunity, because in my 15 years in the finance business, I've never seen anything like this with as many mutually aligned interests as I've seen here with this company.
Awesome. Jaron, thanks so much for
You bet.
sharing your story with us today. And let's meet back up in about a year and
Yeah, sounds great.
see where that rocket ship is taking you. But thanks again for coming in.
Fantastic. Thank you.